at, Steve? Steve, there you are. What's up, guys? Is it still running? I can see it moving. I don't hear it though. Oh, he's
That's
muted
because I'm
himself.
muted.
He's muted himself. All right. Well, Steve is trying to finish up on a CNC job, and guys, I'm just so happy to see that his CNC still works because I haven't seen him use it in a little while. So I'm just everybody, let's give Steve a round of applause for using his CNC. It's been a long time in the making, guys. Glad to see he's got it out of mothballs and it's got it working. So,
Yeah. I use it. I just don't show it.
well, I haven't seen it. We'll put it that way. We haven't got to see it work. Let's put it that way. But good evening there. Looks like Vince has been with us for a little while. Vince, Connie, Clayton, how are you? Dale Dubs, Darren Anton, Connie Morris, Dale, there's Dale again. Richard, Manny, Aaron, it's an Aaron, how are you, sir? Chris Gallagher from the land down under. Good evening, sir. Peter Lapine, name sounds familiar. I haven't seen you in a little while, though. Thank you for stopping by. Robert Giglio, Nipa. Brian, how are you, Brian? Yep, lots of turkey going around these days, I hear. Lori C, welcome aboard. Keith Boardley, we'll go ahead and pin your question, and we'll get to it as soon as we run through the announcements and the hellos here. Mr. Jim Pitch from Wichita, Tim Keller, Michael Sellex, Ralph Strasser. There's Brian again, 8 degrees up there with Steve with that wonderful weather. Brad Ham, Jim Pitts, just X. That's it. Tom Baker, Craig Cott, Kevin Hallbecker, Cornbread Crafts, Scott Johnson, Mark, Multicraft Neo, Don Lewis, Robert Lowe, Mark Patterson, Roger Cart, David Allen, the guy with a great name, Brian Smith, of course, Dawn from British Columbia, hello, Chuck Peterson, Tim Arthur, Radu the Impaler from Milwaukee, Patty Wright, Gillette, let's see who else, Team Destruction, hello, Rob Fight, Michael Browning, Ken LaPlatte, Mark L., Colson Medium LLC, West Virginia. Hello, how are you? Minnesota Made, Miss Barb, or Barb, I guess it's a Miss Barb. Anyway, Barb LaVon, Fresh Schmidthammer, Jamin, Newsfan, Allie Buster, Jason Long, Kevin Hallbecker, James Richards, Midnight Sunworks, David Pingle, Jenny Hollister, Dawn, Charles Richardson, Joseph Cree, Greg Reynolds, Daniel Skidmore, Nipa, Mark L., Steve Wright, Mark Patterson, Cornbread Crafts, Jim Nottingham, Joy Weber, Stephen Rossman. Whew, I think I caught up. Okay. It's kidding. And Michael Morley from Alabama. Hello, neighbor. How are you? So, and X says howdy. So it's getting to where it's a little harder for for me to keep up with everybody coming in. If I overlooked your name, sorry about that. Try to give everybody a shout out, but more or less, just if you have a question, throw it up there. If you want us to notice you, just keep putting something in the comments, and eventually one of us will notice it. So Steve, did your job complete? Okay.
I think it did. Of course, I was so rushed, I forgot to video any of it. So,
oh wow, it'll be okay.
The video.
So would you like to at least explain to folks what you're doing with your CNC over there that has brought it out of retirement? Well, this is my story. I'm just telling it how I see it, But anyway, Steve is working on his enclosure, and because it is, I can tell you, I can speak from experience making those doors. It's a lot easier with a CNC to make that door and kind of make a little recess for that acrylic to sit down in than it is to put it together any other way. I've actually got a file on my CNC that is opening for JTech Photonics 12 by 24 acrylic. So
yep, and that's exactly what I got here. Is a sheet of that acrylic, and it needs to go in this door panel for the front. So I just made a basically, if I can get the camera to show this, there's a recess, so that should hold the acrylic in there, and then there's the frame. It's about a quarter, well, not quite a quarter inch smaller than that. And I will just kind of, on the other one, I think I just drilled some small screws in there because I didn't want to glue it in case I didn't like it.
Yeah, that's what I do. Just very carefully drill corner screws and put in there.
Yep.
So now I will tell you this: the thing that I did learn is you'll have to either round the corners of your acrylic or take a chisel or something and kind of sharpen the corners of the.
Well, yeah, I mean, your other option is to add just a little bit of a dog bone, and that rounds out the corner for the square peg. But I'll end up probably just chiseling those corners square.
That's what I did. I just took a little small chisel and just tapped. I mean, because it's literally 3 millimeters deep. I just tapped that little corner to get it smoothed out, or I can lay it in there.
Yep. But the nice thing is, this is. Now, let me get this unplugged.
Fancy. Got your little airborne hose thing there.
So the enclosure is getting pretty close. Adding the door there mostly finishes off the structural build. I'm probably still going to get a piano hinge. I just have a couple of temporary hinges on there for now. And I'm sure that'll be there for a couple of years till I actually get around to it. But I still need to, I'm going to be adding some lights. I got to mount the camera in there. And then double check my, well, I probably need to check my inlet as far as air. I haven't 100% sorted out just how much that needs or how I'll do that. But yeah, I 3D printed a port for the backside right now. This is just a 4-inch port. As I upgrade my piping to 6-inch, I'll then be able to cut out a large one and have a little more airflow through this. But yeah, hopefully I also am going to want to get some paint at least on the inside before I add the camera and the lights and all that. So hopefully over the next few days. I've been kind of jumping between things as I get time on one or I need a break on the other or whatnot. Just I've been playing with the Reno, but I ordered some things based off of the live stream feedback and good old between Amazon and the Postal Service. They're supposed to show up today and decided, nah, we're going to wait a couple more days. So I called an audible and jumped on to something else. And yeah.
Well, on my smaller enclosure, I've got the strap hinges. You know what I'm talking about? They're basically like they're straps instead of the little wide hinges. And those work really good on the smaller ones. The Enclosure Zilla, because it's such a long distance, I find that the piano hinge does better. But for these smaller ones, the little strap, like the barn door strap hinges, work pretty well. Because you're not really wanting to seal it completely, just like you said.
Right.
You're gonna need some way for air to get in there, whether it be by some kind of a adjustable inlet or a blast gate or whatever. You're gonna have to have some way to allow fresh air to get in there for it to operate.
And the next thing is the way I've got this one. I'll reattach this really quick. I don't need to have any like springs or anything on it.
Yeah, that's the way my smaller enclosure just kind of folds back.
Yeah.
Now, what you will find yourself wanting to do more than likely is making yourself a little wooden block to put up there for the door to rest on so they don't flip all the way back.
Well, I will show you that here in a second.
So that was the one thing that with those, like I said, with these little quarters with the slanted doors like that, that's kind of the way I Like, let me see if you can see it from over there. Well, yeah, you can kind of see the door on this one. Same basic design as what you got going on there.
So I actually have this down just a little bit, so it's just going to rest up on this.
Oh, it works out pretty good. Yeah.
Section anyway, so yeah. So once I get the acrylic on there, get some paint on there, and whatnot, I'll test out, and then I need to double check some measurements because I made up my design, I made the plan, and then as I'm building, went nope, change in direction there. So I got to go back and fix that. But I am planning on offering at very least probably a set of cut files along with the video. I'm going to try to put a video together covering most of the steps. Like I said, I occasionally forgot to hit record on things, so I will try to talk through that. But I don't know that I'm going to do a full-fledged like build manual like I did on the last one with the X tool. I don't know that I have time to put all that together, but hopefully I've covered enough in the video to give someone an idea. Like here's all the steps to do this, and here's the cut list. Have fun. The biggest thing I know in talking with people about my other one, people worry too much about having it be perfect. And this needs to be nothing of perfect. It needs to be functional. It needs to be industrial. As a matter of fact, as you were just mentioning, you don't want to seal it up too much. You want to have some air inlet. Some people kind of get hung up
because if you seal it up too much, you're just going to end up having to drill holes in it.
Yeah, and people get too hung up on like, oh, if everything isn't perfectly, I mean, if it's way out of square, yeah, it's going to give you problems.
Yeah.
But there's not too many areas where you have to be, crazy, that's like crazy accurate and such.
Yeah, that's like this enclosure beside me. If you look, I don't know if you can see them right here. The way that I allow air into the enclosure is I have little felt bumpers on the door. So when the door closes, it can't quite close all the way. Right. It's like an 1/8 of an inch or so under these bumpers. And that's just enough to where if you look from the side, you can see into the enclosure, but you can't, there's no direct line of sight towards the laser. But there's that little crack that gets smaller towards the top that allows just enough air to get in there for it to vacate the smoke and stuff. And it works fine. I was going to try to, do me like a little, adjustable baffle, kind of like grills have on them. But then I did this and I was like, you know what? It serves two purposes. It keeps the door from slapping. Plus it lets just enough in there to where I don't have to worry about it. So,
yep.
But yeah, it's pretty nice design you got. Somebody was asking about the module hitting. I'm assuming you checked that, but I also know that you measured mine last time you were down here. So you should have had a good set of measurements of how far it needed to be up.
It's going to come close. And the nice thing is I do have a little room on this one to move it back. So if you shoved it all the way forward, you'd be risking that. But it is going to have clearance as long as I mount the laser and back, and I still have full coverage on the honeycomb. So
yeah, because this one, that 70 watts got that big controller on the front of it, so you're gonna have to have it towards the back a little bit.
Yep, but yeah, it is something to keep in mind when building these. Some of these modules stick up higher, and that might be the thing in the build, the drawings based on this one. I may actually tweak give it a little more depth, just get that module away from things a little bit more for other people to build it. So, well,
it's going to depend on the false bottom or not too. If you didn't have that false bottom, you would be well.
Oh above. Yeah. And that's the thing where you could adjust that. I mean, and I think the way I did it, I think I glued those in. I could probably move those down if I needed to, but. Yeah. Like I say, sometimes on these things, you dive in, you do it.
Yeah, you make it up as you go. I mean, that's what I did on my enclosures. I literally I envisioned it. I kind of sketched it out in my brain and tried to put it on paper best I could. And then when you start, there's always those things that, I didn't think about this or I didn't think about that. And then so it modifies ever so slightly as the job persists.
Yep.
So But cool. Glad to see you making progress on that. That's definitely gonna give you a little more freedom as far as testing and stuff out there in your shop.
Yeah.
Have you decided how you're gonna vent it yet? I know you were with winter.
Well, I'm gonna hook it up to my dust or my smoke extraction system that I did. It's got 2 ports on it. I'm probably gonna move the P2 closer because I'm still using that for a lot of the CO2 stuff. And then I'll put this on the far end. I do have the blast gates, so I can adjust one or the other. Ideally, and I'm kind of still going through a possible shop rework out here, and I don't want to cut in a 6-inch hole to upgrade to a 6-inch exhaust, which I know I need to do and I want to do, but I want to make sure it's where I really want it to be before I start making Swiss cheese out of this place.
Yeah.
So
those holes are easier to put in than they are to repair.
Yeah. So I've got it in back, and I've actually baffled in underneath the so I'm trying to have it do a downdraft. So I have the honeycomb panel in there, and that's got kind of some plywood rails that it sits on, and then I've baffled just on the outside of that and kind of angled it to the back as well. So it still covers the bulk of the honeycomb, or it covers all the honeycomb plus some, but then it eliminates the extra on the sides. It eliminates the extra dead space up front and kind of just funnels it towards the back. So it helps. It's going to help improve that airflow, hopefully.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, it's all theoretical. It's just based on some experience stuff. And we'll see how it works.
Yeah, that's of course the one that's closest to what you're building there with mine, and it's got that void underneath the honeycomb that like out the back right there. That's where the air is extracted from that one. Now, currently that one's set up. It's running on shop vac. That's my original design. The shop vac was my very first setup. I have since got to where I want a fan. I've bought the fan. I just haven't got around to putting the fan in. So I've got to print me some adapters and do some remodeling to it to be able to put the fan in there. And I got to wait till I get full flexibility back with my knee before I go to crawling around under the table fixing all that. So that's where I'm at on that one. Keith Boardley had a question. I pinned it earlier, and we'll go ahead and get to that one. I don't know if somebody's texting me or something. I don't know. We'll see. Says, I have a question. Does anyone have any experience with the Guike Pro 30-watt fiber? And I do not. I've seen some videos and some people using it, but I know most of the fibers are going to be very, very similar. But we have noticed that there are differences, but like a lot of it is going to be more so in the after sale stuff and some of the configuration. Some of them are configured a little better than others, but they're all basically the same thing under the hood from what I've seen so far. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't. So my experience with traditional fiber lasers is really with ComMarker. I've got their B4, and they did send out it's the equivalent of the B4. So it's just a straight up 20-watt fiber. It's not the MOPA or anything. They did send out their B6, which doesn't really give me any new capabilities, but it does have some nice features. It's got autofocus on it. It's got a powered tower so that you can adjust it 3 different ways. You can autofocus, you can use the touch panel, or you can use the crank. And yeah, so I've been working through that, and hope to have something out on it in the next few days. Just been trying to run a couple of longer engraves as well. And the thing about those over, say, the Laser Pecker and the X2 F1 Ultra is they do work very well with Lightburn. They're meant to work with EasyCAD too, and then the Lightburn's plugin replaces that very well. So that's where I like about it is Lightburn gives you a lot of extra flexibility. However, Xtool and their software make a lot of things easier just through kind of some of their presets for their machine.
Oh yeah.
So
if if you like tinkering and figuring things out and adjustments and figuring out your settings and stuff like that, you can get one of these guys and adjust it and get everything the way you want it, and they run really, really well. But if you're one of those types that I just want a machine that I can set on my table, put some material in there, and first try have relatively good results, then yeah, X-Tool and Laser Pecker give you an advantage. But I would say X-Tool is probably by far you get the most advantage because they do have a very extensive library for jump off settings, and most of their settings are pretty darn close. Like occasionally I'll find a little bit better tweak, but most of the time if you use one of their settings, whatever the material is, it'll be usable. It won't mess it up. Jim says you should paint it clack orange. I happen to have the color code if you would like for me to go get it off the can.
I don't think they allow that color up here.
But I'm gonna tell you, I really think it would look awesome if you painted it like that. Look at that clean honeycomb right there, by the way. Look at that nice clean honeycomb. Isn't that nice and shiny?
It's still basically summer. That's a pretty easy task.
Both of them got a good cleaning. Both of them got a good cleaning today. It's not really summer here.
You still have leaves on the trees.
Oh, they don't all fall off around here. There'll be leaves.
You still have green leaves on your trees. That's hardly even fall.
Yeah, they don't all fall off. We just had frost like 2 days ago. It ain't had time for them all to fall off yet.
Sure you weren't just sticking your head in the fridge?
No, we had frost like 2 days ago.
Well, we have people
it killed our tomato plants.
We have people being stupid and actually go down on the lakes with only 2 inches of ice on them. So till you're there, worse. I don't want to hear about ease of.
If I ever see a lake around here with 2 inches of ice on it, we got a problem. It's like that. What's that movie, The Day After Tomorrow or whatever? It's done got rough.
Yeah.
I've never seen a frozen lake. I saw some mud holes that you could that were frozen. You could skip a rock across, but if you stepped on them, you'd fall in them.
Mm. It's how we learn to drive in the snow up here. You just go in a frozen lake.
No, thanks.
Yeah, no, it's not going to get painted clack orange though. Unfortunately, it'll be.
It's probably going to be purple.
Else. No, that's too dark. Honestly, I think we've got a bunch of random colors of gray, so that's probably going to be the base coat, and it'll probably get decorated from there.
It's going to look like a correctional facility. You spent way too much time in the government building. They always paint the insides of those places gray. It's supposed to promote uniformity. That's why they paint. Honestly, that's why they take correctional institutions and places of higher learning are painted the same color on the inside.
My office is two walls of brick painted white and 2 walls of temporary wall drywall painted white with aluminum tracks. So I'd honestly go for gray. It'd be a change.
Mercy. Let's see. Hayden Kane says, love the shows. Where can I get the screws and blocks that are compatible with the F1? I don't know which exactly you're talking about. The screws are just metric screws. They're thumb screws, though.
Hold on a second. I believe. No, I'm not sure. I think they're M4. I did order some for one of mine. And now I'm second guessing that because that may have been for the laser pecker. I'm not sure the same, but
another smaller than the ones that come with the Ultra.
Right.
I don't remember what size.
Yeah. I'd have to check. But you can, if you look up here, I'll share a link. Knurled thumb screws is kind of what you're looking for. And you just got to double check that they're the right diameter. But yeah, they're going to be metric. These are M4. I don't remember which ones those are for, so don't necessarily don't order those without maybe double checking. And I could do that actually. That's for the F1.
Mm-hmm. See, mine's out there in the trailer, so I'd have to go dig it out. I've got my Ultra sitting over there, but I don't have my F1.
I just need to see if I have my
hang on,
my screw set. I've got mine here. I just don't know that I have matching screws for it.
Screws off of the bed in here, though. Let me look. Because I don't use these. I think it's this little silver one here, isn't it? Is this little silver one?
Yep. Okay, I think these are M3.
Stand by, sir.
Yeah, all this work to try to answer the question. I feel so disorganized right now.
Stand by. Let's see.
Now I have this noise.
I have this, sir.
Oh, look at you.
And this says that this is yes. It appears that M3 is the winner.
Yep. So M3 by probably, let me see here, 10 or 12 as far as your length.
This one is ooh, I think it's only about, it looks like it's only about 9 or 8. Yeah, it's not quite.
Yeah. So that link I shared,
it's not quite.
The link
10.
I shared has a size option on it, and they have like M3 by 10, M3 by 8. And yeah, you could grab that, and that should work for you. And then as far as blocks, you might, if you can, if you have another laser or something, you could just laser some out of 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch material.
Especially if you have like some acrylic, that would make some pretty durable ones with some black acrylic. But yeah, the one for this is the Ultra one right here, the black one, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be M6 or M5. I mean, no, it's M4.
Yeah, that's where I was. The other ones I had ordered were for, I think the LaserPecker 5 and the F1 Ultra have the same size. So,
well, see, I don't use this very often, as you can tell by it being nice and shiny. But I even have, and this is actually a pretty cool little thing to have if you fool with these things a lot. It has these little depth gauges. Not that I can't use my calibers, but just in case. If I wanted to see how deep a hole was, I have that.
Anyway, hope that helps. What are you fussing with there?
It's got this neat little pouch that it comes with. And I'm just OCD, so I got to put it back in the pouch. There you go. Look at that. Woo!
All right. Brent's asking, is 3/4 inch wood too thick for laser engraved wooden coasters?
Well, they'd be a little thick.
They're thicker than your average one, but I mean, there's nothing that says they can't be that thick. I've seen some, like marble coasters that are pretty hefty. It's really up to, I guess, what you or the customer or whoever wants. Generally, I would go. 1/4 inch gets a little thin depending on it, but between probably 3/8 is about average. But you see a lot of 1/4 or 1/2 inch. 3/4 just it tends to get bulky, especially if you have a set. But nothing to say you can't do that.
I threw this up there a while ago. Good evening to you there, Eric, over at Valley Forge. I guess he's been hiding at the beach. He's got where he just stays at that beach all the time now. Every time he does a video, he's over there walking on the beach.
Well, good for him. If I go beach walking right now, it's going to be chilly. But
yeah. Let's see what we got here.
Yeah, Radu, I was watching them while doing some work today, and I tell you, that was not, they were making me worried, but they pulled it off. So a win's a win.
I love mine. I don't know about Steve stands on them for sure. I'm pretty sure I do, but actually, I love mine.
Got mine running right now inside, printing some stuff.
Yeah.
So right now they have their Black Friday sale has been going since like October. It ends on the 3rd, so you got like 2 more days. They've got some pretty good deals on them. I am really tempted to pull the trigger on the P1S with the AMS on it. I also still have my, what is it, the Cheaty Plus, the Cheaty 3 Plus, and
yeah,
it was a lot better than my original Creality machines. I mean, it's Core XY. It was big. It has a heated chamber, all that stuff, but it is monstrous. And the big thing that I mentioned in my review that I hated about it was that filament on the backside, and it continues to have it continues to be a pain. And so I still want to have the capability of printing, some of those things like ABS and others. I'd like to have an enclosed printer for that. And working with that one today, trying to get it to print some things while having I've got the A1 Mini and the A1 running. It was so frustrating because it was so simple. Just dropping the files in, checking the settings, checking that the slice looked good, hit go. The only problem I had was I was using some Overture PLA on the Mini, and somehow it got the spool, the filament jumped off there and got wrapped around the holder, and the printer sends me a notification saying, "Hey, something's jammed. Do you want to check on me?" So I went and looked at it, and sure enough, so I just had to spool it back a little bit, retighten it, and hit go, and then it went ahead with the job. Whereas the other one, it has a filament sensor, but if it deactivates itself, you have to go back in and reactivate it. And so I'd start a job, and all of a sudden I notice, the filament broke or something, and it's just printing air. So for ease of use and without being frustrated, it's hard to beat those Bamboos. I like them. Like I said, I'm probably gonna fork over the money for the P1S. I don't think I need the X1C at this point. It's a few $100s more. Although, I mean, if you are right now, I mean, they've got some good deals through the 3rd. So So yes, I'm very happy with mine. Still using them a lot. I've recorded another Tinkercad video, but I want to get a couple things out first. So I'll have that coming out probably by the end of the week. Just another tip on, some ways of using it to make some things for lasers and such and workshop stuff. So I know I've gotten some good feedback from people on that. They've liked those. I'm by no means an expert on it, but I'm trying to show some of the basics, show how you can use it, show how easy it can be. So hopefully it helps people not fret over, can I even use the thing? So anyway, that's my, I talked too much on that one.
Nah, it happens. Let's see. Radu, the Impaler, says, could you comment on the Monport 60 watt experience with customer service, etc.? I'm also looking for the 80 watt because it has feed through both directions. As far as customer service, I really don't have to. I don't have a whole lot of stuff tear up that I can't fix. Like if there's a belt loose or a software issue or something like that, some kind of little hinky thing, typically I figure it out because I don't like dealing with customer service anywhere. But as far as the Monport machines, I had the M40, which was not great. It wasn't terrible if you didn't have a CO2 and you just wanted to cut acrylic. it was okay for that after you did a lot of tweaking with it. But this Mon port is actually really nice, and I like it. But it's a Galvo, so I can't really speak to the 60 watt or the 80 watt machines. I got a friend of mine's got a 60. And up till a couple of weeks ago, he loved it. A couple of weeks ago, I started giving him a few problems, but I think he's got all that worked out now. So he said that they were working with him and sending him, parts to fix it. But he had an issue. I don't know what happened with his, but he had like just a series of unfortunate events went on with his machine. He had to replace some parts. So,
yeah, I just got in a new Mon port. It's actually not. It's kind of in the other direction. So, you've seen both Clack and I have had the M40, which is kind of their K40 from a little over a year ago, I think, year and a half ago. They have come out with their Reno 45, and I've got it here behind me. I'm just going to see if I can. Nope, it's not going to like that. They came out with the this as kind of the replacement for that. So it's a 45 watt machine. They've got two different versions. There's the standard and the pro. The pro is a little bit faster, but it supports light burn, and it kind of has all the upgrades that you would want from Monport or from a K40. I haven't had too many questions for them on it. The documentation's been enough for me, maybe not necessarily someone brand new, but I haven't had to reach out to them for support on it yet. That being said, I know I've talked with a few other people, and Monport and OhmTech, I think they're kind of a step above dealing direct with China because they tend to have some US-based help, but it kind of is sales that gets handed off to their technicians, which you do sometimes end up still with that kind of delay. If you really want immediate support, you're gonna be paying for it up front with the machine and in some of these companies. So, but yeah, that is a big thing. I've had friends who have worked with some bigger laser companies and still have gotten sketchy support on them. So that is kind of it's the magic 8-ball. Because I know I've talked with some people who have had horrible experiences with Atom Stack and horrible experiences with Xtool, but he also talked to those who have gotten things resolved quickly. So it's a little bit of the roll of the die, and that's kind of what Clack and I do here, is to bridge that gap a little bit, try to help answer some of the questions. Now, when it gets into mechanics that are broken, you still end up having to work with the company. But when it's just trying to figure out why is it doing this or what am I doing wrong, we try to, through our videos, through this, answer some of those questions.
Yeah, we do. I think we do a pretty good job, because I know there's several during the week that I'll get questions from people that it's not something that requires parts to be fixed. It's just a matter of an adjustment or a misconfiguration in the settings or something like that. And most of those things, and that's why I told Atom Stack, I had a Skype a Zoom meeting the other day with Atom Stack. I know you have one. And that's what I told them is, I like them sending me their machines, not because I just want to have every machine they make, but it comes in handy when somebody calls me and goes, "Hey, I've got this machine and I'm having this problem." It's pretty handy when I'm familiar with that machine, or, if it's a common thing, like with the A70, a lot of people were having trouble setting the Z-axis. If they didn't get it set right, it would throw the hard limit because of the limit switch was getting triggered. And I know you actually even had that issue when you were setting yours up, because you just didn't, it didn't like calculate the way that the thing goes together, and you adjusted it and it worked. Yep. Well, since then I've had several people that have had the same problem, and we've been able to, work it out and fix it. And that's one of the things that I told Atom Stack is a lot of this stuff, if they would go back and add like a how to fix it to their Facebook page or their YouTube videos or whatever, that would be helpful. But, at the same time, they can just send them over to my channel and get the same video. So that's one of the benefits of having the different machines. It is fun. And I'm working on a video for some of you guys right now That I try to mix it up. I try not to get stuck on with one particular machine, but I've been doing some projects with the 30-watt Rolly, the MK2, because it is currently the lowest powered machine in my lineup as far as the machines that I've got connected. And I'm wanting to do some hardwood projects and show you guys, the steps and what you can do. And so I've been using it because it's not really fair me use a 70-watt because that's not many people's going to have the 70-watt.
Yeah.
The 40s are getting more common, but I think the 20s and 30s are by far the most common machines right now.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Sup? How are you, sir? Mr. Ballard?
Hey, Ryan.
Making a late appearance.
Been hanging too many Christmas lights.
Well, yeah, he stays busy. He's probably like us. He probably stays busy. Let me go grab these projects over here for dry.
Yeah, he said he's booked up for a couple more weeks. So I imagine going into the dark, getting those set up, long days, but hopefully it's well worth it. S3 1965. Do I have a camera in my X-Tool enclosure? I do not. When I designed that, I was looking for something that was low profile, that was semi-portable. Really wanted to be able to use it in my basement workshop. And so I really, and I came from my bigger, that was my second diode. And I came from my big cabinet CO2 machine that, they had talked about cameras and how you could add them at the time, but none of them came with it. So I was really used to not running with a camera. So I didn't really think of it, and it's kind of low profile. So it doesn't, the way the drawings are, it doesn't really have the height you would need for a good camera. So I know some people have taken the drawings and modified it to work better that way. But that's kind of like with this one now. I've had more lasers that have stretched that footprint. So even like the latest sculpt from the SF9, that wouldn't fit into any of my other ones. Should fit in here. So if I want to, drop that one in and do some work with it, the longer B1 series, it's a little bit bigger. That's where this one should have enough in there. I still kept it. I didn't make it too tall, and we'll see. But I was trying to find that balance of, making it fit and do the things I want, but I didn't want it to have too much volume and extra in there. So yeah, I don't plan on modifying the original X-Tool enclosure for anything. Just going to kind of start rolling with this slightly larger style.
Cool. But I went and got them, so I'm going to show them to you before I go. But I'm working on a video. I didn't get through with it today, but I'm working on a video that I'm going to show y'all guys tomorrow. People have been asking me, because of a lot of the CNC projects I've been doing, they're like, oh, I wish I could use that kind of wood with my laser. I would love to do laser stuff, that looks like your CNC projects. And so the next video y'all see out of me is basically going to be, and these are inserts. So it's not an inlay. It's an insert. Like, this is literally, I cut the material and use kerf offset to where I could put the pieces back together. And they're currently being sprayed with clear coat. But I went and found some materials that were suitable to do stuff like this, to make, instead of doing everything out of plywood, this gives you the opportunity to use different woods. So if you wanted to use like Purple Heart or oak, or this is oak and poplar, which is because that's what they had at Lowe's. And this is Lowe's wood. So most of you guys could, run down to the local Lowe's and pick it up. So that video, I'll be finishing it tomorrow. I've got a lot of it done, but I haven't put the finishing touches on it yet.
Well, our local Lowe's closed a few years ago, so it's a bit of a trek for me. So if you could recommend some stuff from Menards, that'd be great. Jeff, Midwest self car wash is the ideal honeycomb washer. That is true, but here, I again, where I live is kind of a micro metropolitan area. It bridges the gap between smaller outstate town and bigger, Metro City. A lot of our car washes have been going to more of the automatic, drive through. The machine does its thing. It's getting harder to find the ones that have, they let you in, they close the doors, go to town with the pressure washer on the wall kind of thing. Because that would be another option in winter, is just take it there, spray it down really quick. But I'm honestly, I think there might be one left in town, and they're barely hanging on, I think so. But those are a good option when it's not, freezing liquid outside. I mean, I can do that at home with my pressure washer, but
I don't know what the big deal is. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal for me today.
Past 3 days, I think. So, like today, it got up to 17 or 18. Yesterday, it wasn't even that warm. I mean, it's been chilly. Now it's going to warm back up. We're supposed to have some temps back above freezing for a few days, and I won't complain because we've had flurries, but nothing's really stuck around for too long. So there's no snow on the ground here right now, but I know it's coming.
Yeah. Corey, my experience, 20-ish inches is about where you want to be with most cameras that I've tested. Now, I'm not saying that there's aren't some that work closer, but I've built and used a lot of enclosures. I've used them like say with this machine, with it being a 400 by 400, you can actually get away with being closer to the material if you use a fisheye camera. But ideally, you'll get a little bit better, in my experience, a little better consistency most of the time if you can go a little higher, because the angles aren't as sharp when you go higher for the calculation. Now, the good thing about the MK is with the honeycomb being the way it is, it's pretty easy to index stuff with it anyway.
I mean, it depends on the camera as well, but the less wide angle you need to cover your work area, the easier it's going to be to calibrate. But I use them for rough alignment. I don't expect to be spot on. So I'm okay with it, because I know not to trust it. I know not to expect it to be spot on. So if it's something where it's good enough, it's going to hit the material, it doesn't matter, that's fine. But if I'm doing an object where I have a pre-cut round object and I want to make sure it's centered on there, I am not going to trust the camera.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I don't. I don't trust cameras that much. Cameras are a good tool for estimation, but it's just that, it's an estimate. It's not an exact calculation.
See, institutional grays calming.
Hey, I mean, that's the reason they use it in all the prisons and the schools and stuff. But whatever.
Yeah, Chris. I mean, he's going to have to come up here to do that himself, because I'm not doing his work for him. So yeah, I guess we'll see. The rumor is in 305 days he won't be so busy with stuff. Well, I'm counting that you're going to need a day of rest, because it's going to be a big party and all that. So we'll see. We'll see if he dares wander up here, the frigid, cold north.
I think I will eventually. So we'll see. Sam says X-Tool versus Rolly Automation, looking to add a standalone laser versus having one on my X-Carve. If you're used to the X-Carve and you've ran the X-Carve, I don't know what software you're using, but in my opinion, it would come down to mostly which software you prefer. I mean, both machines, whether it be the Rolly or the X-Tool, S1 has a little bit bigger work area. If you go with the D1, you're going to have a little less. If you go with the 20-watt D1, I guess they're still selling it. You have a little less power than the Rolly. If you're looking for enclosed, that would put you going with either a S1 or the MK2. You can get the MK2 in the extra wide if you wanted to. That would give you a little more work area. But the big thing is going to be, do you want to use Lightburn or do you want to use XCS? Because the S1, in my opinion, if you don't use it in XCS, you might as well just buy the Rolly extra wide, because the benefits that the S1 has, you are not going to use in light burn. It's just not. It's just too buggy. They've tried, and it's better than it was, but I still prefer the S1 being ran in XCS. And I'm a light burn fanatic, so for me to say that, you know that it's you lose a lot of functions with the S1, because that little point and measure system that they have, at first I thought it was kind of gimmicky. It's actually really sweet. Once you get used to it, once you learn how it works, it's really sweet. So what's your opinion on that situation?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It comes down to what you want to learn. There's a lot of people who are intimidated by light burn, or they get frustrated with trying to learn it. And that's going to set you back if you go with the Rolly. But you're going to get, like you say, if you get the XW, you're probably going to get more laser for the dollar. I mean, you still got to buy
more work area. Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. And that's one thing I always consider is never seems to fail, that you want, whether it's actual work area or just area to place your material. You know, yeah. I ran into that issue today I had just enough room for this piece of acrylic that I needed to put some holes in to shift it side to side in the X-Tool P2 to be able to get to the extents. Whereas, like you were mentioning on the Hurricane, you got that extra overflow area. You know, that's something to consider. But that XCS makes it a lot easier to have quick wins. You know, they've got a lot going with that software. They continue to develop it. And so for someone who kind of wants a lot of kind of presets and a lot of extra things, I mean, their design find is similar to having a mix of Creative Fabrica and Thingiverse and other things that you can just kind of pull things into. They've got their material library, things like that. So it makes it easier to get started, but you are really then locked into the X-Tool ecosystem at that point.
Oh yeah. TJ, I know some folks that have the Hayocean fiber machines. I've never touched one, never seen one. I wouldn't know what to tell you. I wouldn't want to scare you the wrong way. I think doesn't Rick over at Rick's 2 cents, doesn't he have it? Isn't his one of his a Hayocean or whatever?
I'm not.
I want to say one of them is.
Yeah.
And then maybe Patrick. I don't know if Patrick has a Hayocean, but he would probably be more knowledgeable about the 60-watt MOPAs, because I got a 30-watt MOPA sitting right there, and that's the only one I've ever had. So I'm not exactly an authority on those.
Jess is asking, what's your favorite material to work with on a laser?
It depends. I mean, because it depends on what kind of mood I'm in, what I'm wanting to make. I love wood. Wood is that's what got me into lasers. I love wood. I don't necessarily love plywood or MDF. I love like real wood. And that's one reason why I catch myself going to the CNC so much to make things, is because I like that actual, like, you know, I like real wood, not plywood. And so that's one reason why the video that I worked on today, people had asked me, it was like, oh, I'd love to make stuff like that with, you know, real wood like that, but all I have is a laser. And after about the third person made a comment similar to that, I'm like, but you can still do it. It's not going to be the same, but there are ways that you can still use, you know, regular wood instead of plywood to do stuff. I mean, because, you know, I've got, you know, the laminated MDF and stuff like that looks cool for making ornaments and stuff like that. But I also like doing, you know, the real deal like this. So that's what I wound up doing.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I got into lasers for a whole different reason, but in doing woodworking and such, it's a mixture though. I mean, for making structural things, plywood's great.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if I'm building Yeah, I got into lasers because of my model airplane hobby, and for that it was balsa wood, like real balsa wood. I've seen a lot of people call other things balsa wood that's not balsa wood, but that and light plywood or Baltic birch plywood, I've used a lot of that because it is fairly consistent and it's a durable material, kind of consistent material. But for more decorative stuff, yeah, I like working with the hardwoods and that there again, it depends on if I'm doing an engraving and if I'm doing decorative stuff. I'm going to bounce between a few, cherry being one of the ones I like across the board. But it's not always the answer for everything, but yeah. So for like structural kind of things, I use a lot of Baltic birch plywood. It's a little more dense than what you get, and it's getting hard to find. So I've actually been looking at, what are good alternatives.
I'll tell you, this birch stuff that I've been getting from Rugby, it's a lot better than that Luan I've been using. It's a little tougher, but it's better.
Yeah, there's two places I haven't visited in a while, and I need to. They're local hardwood dealers. I know one of them stocks, or both of them stock Baltic birch, but I need to go and ask them. I'm like, hey, I'm looking for some material that has these kind of properties, and see what they can. Yeah. See what they can source for me and bring in locally. Even if I got to order it and wait for them, I'd rather have them pick it up than I can coordinate with them than randomly have a semi drop off stuff in front of my house.
Yeah. Gio says Clack had a picture of it looked like a trip to Lowe's for stovetop covers. Was Lowe's source specifically? Yes, I've got a video. A matter of fact, that's what that load of lumber turned in. Well, part of that load of lumber turned into right there. That's 6 stove covers that I'll be delivering one afternoon this week. But I did those yesterday. That's why y'all didn't see a whole lot out of me yesterday at all. Let's see. I don't remember. Yeah, I did a video back in 2022. I haven't really done I did one, but I don't remember what I was doing. There's a couple of my lives, but that I've done. But basically, yes, that was it's a 24 by 6 foot, 24 inch by 6 foot pine bonded panel, which is basically just a glue up panel and then some pine 1x4s. That's really all you got to have for those. And all you'll end up with for scraps is a piece of 1x4 about that long that I just usually either keep and use for CNC or laser projects or burn, which here lately I've been burning them all. And I'll end up with a piece of the panel about yay big. Which I keep these too because this, out of those 6 foot panels, this is the scrap that I have when I get through cutting them. So this is really the only scrap that I have from stove covers. And if you look over there on that wall behind my CNC, all those little honeycomb shaped things, that's what I do with these. I keep these, and when I get them a bunch of them, I'll set them on a CNC and cut those things out, stain them, paint them, and then take a nail gun and shoot them up to the wall. So recycling. I wind up with very little scrap by the time I'm done. And I also, like the other day, my mom came over and wanted some of these Christmas trees everybody's been doing, like where you have like 3 Christmas trees and you have like a base and you paint them different colors. So I took and created a file and I made 3 of those for her out of these right here. So I made me a file basically to where I could cut the Christmas tree and the base out of just one piece of this pine here. So I have that file too that I just created this past weekend.
Alan Jones is asking, how is the Reno 45 with cutting acrylic? So I did do some of that on, I did a live stream the other day, testing some stuff. And so did this is like just under 1/8 inch and it's transparent red. Did that in one pass. I want to say it was 6 or 7 millimeters a second. Then we ran some clear acrylic. There we go. That's closer. It's a little under 1/4 inch. I had to run 2 passes at 7, and it did cut through that. And the edge, if I can get it to focus on that, the edge is pretty good.
Yeah,
mostly polished, so it can do it. And not terrible speed. This one, it's a 45-watt tube, and there's some. This is one thing I've actually reached out to them to get some clarification on. The manual has a whole list of kind of recommended speeds and feeds. They also have a chart in there of what the power percentage to milliamp rating is. Now, this doesn't have an actual amp meter on it, so I can kind of show you. There is the book. And so there's a nice little label on here that says maximum current for the tube is 20 milliamps. So according to this chart, that's 55% power. So that would be like running it at, that's your 100% power of this one. Anything over that, you're risking destroying the tube and reducing its life. But in the back, where they have suggested parameters for cutting and such, they list, running acrylic at 60% or 10 millimeter at 80 and 15 at 90%.
So they're a little conflicted.
So yeah, I reached out to them and said, hey, what's really the milliamp rating on here? What is the maximum that it should be running at? So we'll see what they say. But at those speeds, those are running it at like 50 to 55% power. And I did cut out a whole, this is just like the center part of a whole snowflake ornament I cut out. So it can do it. It seemed to cut pretty well. It left a fairly glossy. I mean, this is fairly smooth. It's not very sharp. So for cutting acrylic so far, good. But as far as comparing speeds, I got to find out if I'm actually running it at the power I should or not.
Fred says Cody has a great Genie Bit pack on sale, but
yeah, I'm
all stocked up right now.
He put together like a pack of bits, and I believe he discounted everything else in the site as well. So if you're just looking for 1 or 2, definitely worth jumping over there and checking it out.
If you look at the setup instructions for the RA2 for Lightburn on Xtools website, they would give you the steps per rotation there because you'd have to know them to set it up in Lightburn. I don't remember what they are. I have used a Xtool rotary in Lightburn, but it's been a long time ago. So I wouldn't know what to tell you exactly, but I do know that they do have instructions on how to set up the RA2 for Lightburn. And in there, they would have to disclose to you what the steps are for that to be possible. So look there, do that. AGT, it's not really I wouldn't call it an inlay because that kind of means that it's like laid into a socket, so to speak. It's more of an insert because it's 2 pieces that have been cut, and then I'm taking the one piece from the one piece of material and inserting it into a void in the other piece of material, but it goes all the way through. So it's not like I just engraved an area and set it down in there. It like literally goes all the way through it. So it's sort of an inlay, but I would think it'd be called more of an insert.
Just going back to that other one, I haven't run the rotary on it on the B4 as far as the RA2, but the support shows 128 as the what you would use in Lightburn. So you can start with that, and if you've got, and it's going to be harder on the comm marker because of the material you can't engrave.
You got to have that little controller too, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a box that plugs into the back.
Yeah.
But you can use that, and what you do is you end up drawing like a 1-inch square in Lightburn and then running it, and you can kind of adjust up or down. You need to measure it with like a flexible tape kind of thing, and then you can adjust up and down until you get it dialed in. Yeah, Daniel, I've had Menards here in town forever, so I appreciate it. They don't always have everything I need, but they have a big collection of stuff. We have a Menards and a Home Depot right next to each other here in town. There used to be a Lowe's that was a little way away, and I think they just set up shop in the wrong area because people didn't want to go there. Because there's Menards, there's Home Depot, there's Fleet Farm, there's Tractor Supply, all kind of in one block. So it's easy to jump between the two and get everything you need from that standpoint around here.
Yeah, this is like a 5-pin to a 4-pin adapter with some kind of control board inside here. But you have to have that with the com marker.
AGT, yeah, I've played with the Tiger Ply stuff and it's been okay. I don't know. I think I got a bad batch of it at one point because I was just struggling to cut with it. Similar to the Revolution plywood at Lowe's. I think the Tiger Ply actually has some nylon in it. And so on higher power, I would say like 40 watt and above, it seems to not mind. But, you know, like on the, I was trying to cut it with the 20 watt D1 Pro and I'd run into spots that it just would not like it. So could have been a bad batch, but.
Multi-craft saying any settings to cut an 1/8 inch black acrylic on a 20 watt diode. Mine cuts 225 per minute, 100% with 2 passes, but the edges are scorched. I could usually get some pretty good cuts on black. Now, any other color, good luck. But you're just going to need to test and make sure you run plenty of air assist because acrylic will weld itself back together behind the cut.
Yeah, I cut some just yesterday with the now it's a 40 watt X Tool S1, and I was running about 7 millimeters a second, which would be about 420 millimeters a minute. But that was a single pass, and it was 40 watts of power. So, and it was fairly clean. But that is one of the differences between the diode and the CO2 is just it doesn't quite get as smooth and polished of a cut. But it shouldn't be too scorched. You should be able to be fairly clean. So I don't know. Any thoughts as far as that issue? Like maybe a little less air?
Well, I would try to get it down to one. If it's 3 millimeter, especially, I would try to get it down to a 1 pass. There's no reason with a 20 watt diode that you can't cut 3 millimeter black acrylic with 1 pass. And make sure you got plenty because that first pass, it's never good. The cut's never going to look as good if you have to do 2 passes as if you can do it in 1. Now there are situations where like really thick material you have to go multiple passes, but with 3 millimeter acrylic, it shouldn't be a problem.
Well, let me see if I can do a test. I could do it on the ASMR. It'll be 24 watt. I think I have some here. Let me see what I can get. But one thing is if you can adjust your air, acrylic is one of those things where too much air can actually cause a rougher cut. And so if you can adjust that down, that can help. But let me see if I can get this hooked up and tested. Or are you doing the same?
I'm gonna run a 10 watt.
All right. Well, I don't want to leave us both doing stuff.
No, I'm good. Go ahead. I was just gonna do the 10 because that's the week. I mean, I could put it on 30, but that's still more than 20.
Yeah. Well, so I just don't want us both kind of mucking around with them sitting here watching us work is all.
They don't mind.
Yeah, Barb. 12 degrees. Minnesota's been a chilly state the past few days, so little warmer down here, but not by much. Jack says he let ChatGPT pick the settings for 3 projects today: stainless steel, belt buckles, slate coaster, and Arctic tumbler. They all work great. Yeah, you know, for certain things, ChatGPT and other AI things, at work we've done we've used it to create a baseline for some basic user support manual stuff. So we'll say, hey, ChatGPT, create a self-guided help for starting a Zoom meeting while connected to Outlook or something. And if you go through all the steps, it's actually fairly accurate. So there are certain things it's decent, but you do have to still trust but verify with that. So
I'm taking all the kerf out of this.
There you go. You gotta stop bragging about the heat.
It's actually cold outside right now.
Yeah, I don't know that he'd want to show up in July or August because it's not going to be any different than it is down there. It's hot, it's humid. I keep telling him there's fall time's the time to show up here, but you got to be careful because sometimes it's a weekend.
All right, so I've got this set. I've got this just at the engraving focus, and I'm going to set this at 5 millimeters a second for this little circle. See if I got my settings right. I might should have turned my other fan on. All right, so that didn't. So I'm going to reset the. I reset the focus. I've got the focus running a little bit. I set it at the first little cut focus, and I'm going to take this from 5 millimeters a second. Since this is acrylic, I'm going to go ahead and drop it to 4. It almost cut through on that little circle, but I'm going to make that circle bigger and try to cut the corner off of this material so we can see the cut.
We're talking about 1/8" stuff, right?
Yes, 3 millimeter. I'm guessing that's what they're talking about. Ooh, let's see if that makes it through it. It appears it is. Yeah, that's what I've got on there is 3 millimeter.
I'm not sure he's got numbers that go high enough if he was to donate that to me. Trying to make sure I've got some black acrylic.
See, this was one pass at 5 millimeters a second. So it's almost stuck back in there. But that was me just trying to cut the corner off of it. So let me change it. That was 4 millimeters a second. So let me change it to 6 millimeters a second. Because like I said, sometimes 2 passes is necessary. So I'm going to set it at 6 with 2 passes. And we'll do that.
Well,
swap y'all over here to my Lightbird. So once I get that up there, see, I'll use my little trusty camera here to place this, and I'm just going to try to cut this corner of this material right here so we can see what that looks like. And you should be able to see the machine right there. But I've got it flipped over to 10 watts. So this is not running 30 watts of output. This is just the 10. This machine's actually selectable from 10 to 30. And because we were talking about a 20 watt struggling with it, I figured I'd show you what I can do with a 10. And this is 2 passes at, I think I set it at 6 millimeters. Yes, 6 millimeters a second. So this should be more than enough to knock it loose. So yeah, at 6 millimeters a second, 2 passes, it dropped it. You can barely see where the 2 passes are, like one shinier than the other, But all in all, that's an acceptable. It's an acceptable cut. So, but that is totally did with a 10-watt. No, with a 30, I could go much faster. So you should be, like I said, if you're having to do 2 passes is okay, but I wouldn't want to run much more than 2 passes. With a 20-watt, you should be able to do it in 1 pass. So I don't know why you wouldn't unless your focus is messed up. But there you go. That was with a 10-watt. Oh, let me swap this back over to 30 before I forget, because I'll be running it on 30 or on 10. You know, I swapped my darn M40 the other day and didn't realize it, and I ran it for a solid month on 24 watts.
I think my black acrylic's all inside. So,
well, I see it worked out good then.
Yeah, I found a bunch of other stuff.
I can't believe you ain't got some of those little test pieces they send with all the machines.
Well,
it's like a box of them.
They are, but they're inside because, I mean, I've got like the big thick 1-inch thick thing
that neither one of us have found a laser that'll cut yet.
Yeah. Not without starting a fire. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, Oh,
that's interesting. Robbie says Creative Fabrica has a good deal going on right now, $199 for a lifetime subscription. I actually dabbled with that recently and paid for a year at like $3.99 a month or something like that. And it's pretty neat. They've got a lot of things out there. So that's one thing I sometimes struggle with is I can engineer a nice enclosure, but to figure out how to, the graphic design, the aesthetics part of it, sometimes that's where I'm like, I don't know. I'm always asking my wife, what I need to do some engravings on some stuff, what should I put on there? And if she doesn't give me ideas, this is what you end up with, So Creative Fabrica has a lot of designs that are meant for, fabric or paper or, laser stuff. And you can pay individually for them, much like you can go and download them from Etsy and other places, at like $3 a piece. And they give you commercial rights to use those in the production of items. You can't necessarily take that design and make your own files from it to share. But they've got some things out there that if you just kind of want some quick things to put on products at $3-4 a month, or if you think you're going to be using it for 2-3 years there, a couple $100 and get you lifetime access, that's not a bad deal. So look into it, see if it works for you, see if it fits for you. So
yeah, Brad said he just got the F1 and the Learning XCS, and the A40 Max will be here Wednesday. I think you'll enjoy both of those machines. So the A40 is going to be very capable because that's equivalent to what I've got in my enclosure over here.
Yeah, Beaver Creek. So I needed to clean the honeycomb in my S1 the other day, and so I know people have asked me in the past, how do I do it, especially in the winter? So I put together a quick, I uploaded it as a YouTube short. So it's 60 seconds. It's under 60 seconds. But you're right. I use Totally Awesome. I actually just use it straight out of the bottle, spray it down, let it sit. I flip it over, spray it down. You just kind of let that stuff soak in and then rinse it off. It gets 85-90% of the stuff off with that. Now, if you want it spotless, yeah, you got to get in there and scrub a little bit more or get out the pressure washer, but I can't run the pressure. I'm not going to run the pressure washer in my laundry room. So this is kind of
hey, take it in your bathroom and just get it in your shower.
Nah, this is good enough. It's the wintertime good enough cleaning. And so I put that out there. And so Clark thought he'd have some fun with me and show how you do it in the summer, because it's apparently still summer down there.
It's not summer here. It's like we're in December.
Warm enough that you're in a t-shirt. It's
hey, wait till Christmas gets here. I'll show you what the Christmas at the Clack Shack looks like. We'll be running around here in shorts and a t-shirt. It's unreal. Now it actually we have had a cold snap lately. It's I think it's supposed to be in the 20s tonight. So yeah, it's 40 degrees. It is 40 degrees right now. It's supposed to be 28 after a while. See, look at that. I mean, that's cold.
That's 10
That right
degrees
there is
warmer than our highs have been the past few days. So I don't want to hear it.
You're just angry because it's so snowy up there.
There's no snow. It's just cold. And that's the worst part about it. It's not even pretty. Everything's brown. There's no leaves anywhere other than the dead ones on the ground. So Nancy's asking, do you know where to buy 16th inch hardwood? Species doesn't matter. A place that I get some stuff from that you can order, and they're a pretty good company, is I don't know how you necessarily say it, but Uchuch Hardwoods. They're up in Wisconsin. And they have variety packs. You can specify what you want. You can get various thicknesses, and they're pretty good about making sure they're finished well. So I'm going to drop the link to them.
It's going to be a 16th thick.
They've got some thinner stuff.
It's not going to be. That must be ply. It's got to be plywood or MDF veneered stuff.
No.
I
know they at least get down to 8th. But
16th,
I've gotten some
just anything with grain at 16th is going to snap really easy. I'd be
depends on the material, but I've got some. So yeah, you look at their project ready wood, and yeah, they've got from 3/4 inch down to 16th inch. So you can pick from a lot of different species and the thickness. So yeah, and their place, they do pretty good with their stuff. As a matter of fact, they offer what do they call it? You can get a sample pack, but they also have, maybe it depends on, they'll have it's like their seconds box or whatever. It's like you order just a box of random. You can get thin seconds, so that's 3/8 to a 16th inch, and it's $25 for a 20-pound box of this stuff. And that's a good way to just get a random selection of hardwoods for some of this stuff. So
yeah. See, this is some 16th that I cut with. It's actually mahogany, but it's very, very brittle if you ain't careful with it. But I skunked this on the table saw, which I guess it's pretty. This mahogany is pretty, but that's some good grain. If it had any cross grain right there, it'd probably be a little more brittle. So this is thin.
This is a piece from them.
Huh.
It's very clean, very sanded, very smooth. So yeah, it's definitely something you can get, and I have it laying flat.
What is that, maple? Looks like maple.
It might be, might not be, but definitely check them out. They're a good company to deal with. And like I say, try out some of their sample packs or their seconds. So some of the seconds will have a few rust spots on them, but you get a lot of scrap wood to play around with, and there'll be some imperfections in them and such, but you can sand some of that stuff out or just cut around them. But yeah, I've worked with them. I've ordered from them a few times. Never had a problem with it.
Apparently Steve would have an issue with that, but I've never heard of anybody having an issue with it.
Of course you haven't, because they had an issue, and now you haven't heard from them.
Yeah, I use 3/4. Half inch, when you start going with something like in actual wood, not plywood, half inch material with length is going to start twisting and stuff really, really bad. The thicker the material, the less that happens.
More so, I just don't understand. If you ever want to use your stove, now whatever you had on there has to move, and you have to put this thing somewhere.
Just prop it up against the wall. It's not that bad. I don't know. I just sell them. They asked me, "Can you make them?" I said, "Yes, I can." That's how that went.
Makes no sense.
Now, my wife used to have one, but it's back before she got her new stove that's all pretty and stuff. Back when we had the old one that come over on the Mayflower, she wanted to cover it up so nobody could see it.
It probably would run for a lot longer than anything you buy now.
Oh, well, we got gas. Well, our stove, because of where we live and the potential for hurricanes and tornadoes, our stove is gas, runs off propane. That way, in the event that we have long-term power outages, we can still heat.
So yeah, I mean, I've got a natural gas stove, but you know how many I replaced the old one because I thought, hey, I want a newer appliance. Dumbest thing I've ever done, because now I've had control board issues. I've had, all sorts of like thermocouple issues, and it's just new appliances suck.
They are a little more problematic. Hers is not as the computer basically controls the timer and stuff like that, and there's some stuff in the oven that it controls, but the stovetop itself is mostly old school. You just turn the knob and it comes on. So, and then we have the gas logs in the living room. So in the event that we have a blizzard like we had back in '93 and have 2 inches of snow, we can stay warm for a while. You heard me say we had a blizzard in '93, didn't
you? I'd like to see what your guys' definition of a blizzard is, but
hey, it was rough. I can remember. I was like a senior in high school when it happened, and yeah, it was rough.
Probably just would have been a 2-hour late start for us up here.
Yeah, see, look right here. Look at this. I mean, look at these pictures. Like that's some serious snow right there in Alabama.
That's just
look
January.
At that. Look at that right there. look, car almost buried right there. I mean, it was rough, man. We don't get that in Alabama very often. Like, that's the last time we got. That's the only time in my life I can remember having that much snow here. The rest of the time, if you don't get up before the sun does, you don't get to see snow around here.
Well, the next time that happens, I want to see you out there pressure washing your honeycomb off.
All right. maybe I will. Oh my goodness, killing me. I can't help it. Up there in South Canada, it's a little cooler.
So Radu, yes and no. The rotaries are similar, but you need to make sure that whatever your control board is, that the pinout is the same, or you get an adapter cable for it. Generally, they're all going to have four pins to them. There just might be different styles, and so you can put a new connector on a rotary. You can get an adapter, and then you need to know your controller to make sure that your controller can operate the rotary, that the voltage and amperage is going to be supported. But typically on a lot of the open frame lasers, they're very similar, and you can either get just an adapter cable, or yes, they're going to plug in. And the worst thing you got to do is figure out the steps per rotation to get it dialed in. And yeah, we both, Clack and I, recommend the Atom Stack 3-jaw. I don't know. I haven't tested it with the longer laser, but I'm pretty sure that's got the standard square plug. The Atom Stack unit comes with 2 adapters, so you should be able to plug that in.
The longer, is it the longer B1?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same. I've used the chuck with it before, and pretty sure I can go up there and get it down. But let me look.
Well, I don't know that we need to do that, but
yeah, I think it's going to be the same. I'm pretty sure I've used that one with one of my Atom Stacks before.
Mm-hmm. Ryan, yeah, both of us are signed up to go to Workbench Con. Having not been there, I figured I'd go at least once. So just need to figure out I need to figure out how I'm getting to the Atlanta area. But and then Clack and I are got to figure out, lodging and who's staying where. But yes, plan is to be there. Not sure about days before or after. Like I said, I got to figure out my travel plans. But for the event,
yeah, I've already bought a ticket. So at this point, I'm at least going because I've already bought a ticket. Brandy had mentioned she might go with me this year, so I may have to wind up buying 2 tickets. But I've already bought one, and for some reason, it would not let me buy 2 when I logged in. I had to just buy 1, and even though I tried to hit quantity, it just would not let me. So I'm gonna have to get with them. But she's probably not going to be going to any of the classes or anything, so I don't know. You know how that goes. So, but I was going to try to get 2 of them. Oof, we got way behind on comments. Or I have. Cody in the house. What's up, sir? How are you? We were telling everybody you got a big sale over there, just selling all kinds of bits.
I need to quick fix my microphone stand.
See, Michelle Worley said 93 was a blizzard. They had 3 feet. See there? Not woodworking, not bored. He knows about it. See, all my folks down here in the South know about the blizzard of 93. Because we ain't used to that. Like, I mean, we are not used to it. And Chris over there said he ain't never seen it snow.
Well, he's rolling into summer.
Yeah.
Brian, I hope not. I hope it's not in the thousands, but actually it is. If we're talking days, it's in the thousands, so never mind. I was thinking months. It's not. It's hopefully not in the thousands of months.
I mean, we could print like a little 1 and just like tape it on the side right there.
You'd need more than 1.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see. Quick math. Worst case scenario. Whew. Add a 7 on the front of that, and you're pretty close.
Oh Lord, that's a lot of days, Steve.
That is a lot of days. Yes, we don't. We try not to think about that.
Oh, I pulled this up a while ago because I was going to show y'all one of the things that I do with these scraps from the stove covers. Is that right there? So by the time I get through making those little Christmas trees right there with it, there's really not a whole lot of scrap left. And so I do that, or my little honeycomb. My little honeycomb pieces over there. Either one. Brian said that's 19 years. You need to win the lottery. Yeah.
Like I said, that's worst case scenario. Hopefully it's less than that.
Yeah, Dale, that's what Steve claims, that he had to walk to school uphill both directions when he was growing up in Minnesota. I mean, what he said. He said it was uphill both ways.
I don't think I ever said uphill both ways. There's a hill. But...
Oh, yeah, Tim. He said barefoot. So he had to walk to school uphill both ways barefoot.
No. There's some chatter about dust collection. People asking Cody what he's using. He's got the Elite and loves it. That's nice. It's nice when you can use a full-on dust collector, but you can get by. So as you can kind of see here, I've got an IDA Dust Deputy. It's the old style, the taller one, hooked up just to your typical rigid shop vac, and that works okay. It'll get you by, but definitely having a larger, like 4-inch, 3 to 4 inch hose instead of the 2.5 on this one. And I saw mention of a Festool CT. Those even have a smaller diameter hose. For a larger machine like a 150, I don't know that that's like this keeps up with it enough, but it doesn't pick up everything. So
mine works awesome. I can honestly say I've watched other people's CNCs and YouTube videos, and this dust collection compared to what I had prior and compared to what I see other people's machines doing, this thing rocks, and it's quiet. I messaged James over at James Dean the other day to see how he was liking his, and he said he was still getting everything hooked up and still testing it out, but so far it was running good for him. But yeah, I hooked up with these guys last year over at Workbench Con, and I'm telling you, this thing, I did have to empty it yesterday. I think I emptied it because it was getting it was overly full. I should have emptied it a while back, but it holds like the bag that goes in it's probably a 30-gallon, 40-gallon bag. And I went out there and dumped it on the fire burn pit and let it smolder all day. But yeah, it's now I've got the extended cone on the top of it. I've got the 24-inch cone, which reduces the parts, like the size of the particle that it can filter. And it also extends time between like dusting, which literally all you got to do is kind of like go over there and just squish it down a little bit, and it'll stand right back up when you cut it on. So it's pretty neat.
So you can answer Jason's question there?
Oh, I threw it up there. You said something about a dust collection. You're gonna need a MOPA. Steve likes the F1 Ultra, but it's slow, and I would agree with him on that. I mean, if you're just doing one for yourself, it's cool. You can do it. But if you're going to seriously be cranking them out, you're going to want to look at like much, much bigger fiber laser, in my opinion. And I know you've done more of those probably than I have with the Ultra. So
yeah, I don't think you need a MOPA. I don't think you need a MOPA for challenge coins, because that would be if you're doing like color stuff. But you definitely are going to want something higher power. 50, 60 watt, probably the minimum. You can do it with 20 watt, but to get any depth, you're talking 4 to 5 hours per side. And those are some boring times sitting there making sure it doesn't mess up. Which is, yeah. And all the laser manufacturers want you to show that with the machines, but it takes time to set them up, and then it takes time to let them run, especially doing two-sided. So, obviously, if you can get the higher power, that's going to cut that time down. So definitely be looking at, like I say, 50 to 60 watt on up for the fiber laser if you're going to be doing any deep engraving and challenge coins like that.
Yeah, I think IV Killer is saying the same thing. He's got a 20 watt fiber, so it's taking 2 or 3 hours for each side. And yeah, I did one with the Ultra. Tried one. It didn't do what I wanted it to. It looked kind of weird. But it was like 3 or 4 hours to get the depth, like to try to get the depth. And it didn't turn out exactly the way I wanted it to.
Fred, I'm jealous, but we'll see. I may be making a brief trip to Arizona in January. So my dad's down there up in Payson, about an hour north of the Phoenix area, and if things work out, I'm going to be hopefully spending a few days there. And who knows? Maybe I can bug Cody and stop by and make a bit or two.
I just don't know what to think about that. I don't know if that's a good idea. Cody might not want you over there. Oh,
hey, you saw it. I ran the machine today.
You did use. I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of you. So, you actually fired your CNC up today. Oh,
I have more plans and ideas for it. I just have other things that keep getting in the way. So,
hey, you've been getting a little more motivated lately. I mean, you almost got your enclosure that you wanted to build like a year ago. You've almost got it built. You've got the CNC out. I've heard it run, so I know that it still works. It's not just a table. So I mean, we're making progress. We're making progress.
Yeah, I'm actually Oh, maybe I shouldn't say this.
If you have to think you shouldn't say it, you probably shouldn't.
Well, I don't want to advertise this as something I do. I am going to be hopefully connecting with the guy to help him get V-Carve working with his Sane Smart. He's got the Reno, or not the Reno. He's got the 4040 Pro, I believe. And so had a few questions, been going back and forth. So just kind of said, hey, let's try to find some time, and maybe I can just show you a few things really quick. Not something I'm doing all the time, but like I say, we try to help people out, and sometimes it just goes down that path. And
yeah,
but yeah,
you said he's trying to get V-Carve to work with it, as far as like
just needs to kind of get. He just needs to get the final steps of. He's got the file. Needs to make sure he's got all the steps to get it from V-Carve.
I've got some speeds and feeds for a 4040.
Yep. But yeah, it's we'll see. I'm actually thinking about building an enclosure for the 4040 so I could run it down in my basement shop, because down there I would want dust collection for sure. So an enclosure is going to help contain that, but it also helps soundproof it a bit. So, and that would allow me to get more of these things done.
Y'all saw my little is it Looney or Looney machine over there that I got, which looks remarkably like a Fox Alien. It's belt driven, but it actually surprisingly does pretty good, even with 1/4-inch bits. I was worried it wasn't going to run 1/4-inch bits, but I tried stalling it out since it was their bits, and it did install, so pretty good. Somebody was asking me the other day if my countdown included weekends. That is calendar days, so that's like weekends, holidays, everything included. So when that thing gets on counting down, it's including everything. If you take away the weekends, it's significantly fewer work days.
Yeah. Either of those numbers are too big for me to look at right now. It's just depressing, so I got to ignore it. Try to get caught up with comments here. So if we've kind of passed yours by, drop it in again, and we'll try to hit it up. We got about 20 minutes left before we would normally cut off, although we sometimes run a little long. But drop them in, and we'll try to get back to them.
Yeah. Corey, matter of fact, weird thing that you mentioned this is the other night, X-Tool had a live where they were, going over their Black Friday stuff. They were doing some giveaways. And the CEO of X-Tool actually divulged in that live that they have a building that they're renovating, that they're moving into in California, somewhere over around the valley. And they're going to have offices there. And he said that they would be having US-based customer support as well as other facets of their company. And they will have employees there in California. So that's going to be a big game changer. I don't know if that was something that they had already had planned, or if that's a way to kind of sidestep what they think may be coming, or I don't know what that maneuver was for. But for the folks in the X-Tool community, that actually will help, because you'll have somebody that you can call that's US and more than likely will speak English and all that good stuff that you can reach out to. So the X-Tool community will probably benefit from that, but I don't know what their reasoning behind doing that was. I don't know if it was something they already had planned just naturally, or if it was, because of some of the changes.
No, I think that's mostly about support, because even if they did some manufacturing there, they would still be sourcing a lot of their parts outside the U.S., and so they would still be having the issues. So we'll have to wait and see on that. See if it comes to fruition and what it means, whether some of the companies will bite the cost, whether it's just going to cost us all more. Hard to say, because some of the proposed ones are, all over the place. It's gonna hurt the Midwest with gas imports from Canada. That's for sure. We get over half of our gas and oil from Canada. So we're hoping that it's not going to be as bad, and it's a little more measured. But who knows? Just have to kind of wait and see on that one. So.
Rob Fight says, any recommendations for acrylic paint markers? I've got some. I went to Walmart and just got like what they had. I think you got yours off Amazon or something.
I did. They've been working okay. Let me find them real quick. It's probably something I don't even have in my store. I should add them. Yeah. Oh, hey, Cyber Monday deal even. So this is a set of 32 colors for $10. They've been working well for me. They got the broad and the fine point. I gotta find the right tab again. There we go. Yeah, these are really nice to have to add some color to things. But like I say, you could probably find the same thing at Walmart, possibly even I don't know, Michael's might have some of them, or Hobby Lobby. It's kind of a crafting thing anyway. So
yeah,
but that's the one I've used, and I'm still using them. Haven't had to rebuy them yet. Bought them over a year.
I say I don't use them very often, but Brandy has used them quite a bit. And the ones that I've got, like I said, they're just Walmart ones, but they work pretty well. It's a lot easier than having to clean up paintbrushes.
Oh yeah, especially on just a kind of a one-off thing, or if you have multiple colors, you got to clean out the paintbrush or have a bunch of those and everything. So they're nice to have. Yeah.
TJ is saying, are you talking about Patrick from Light Source Engraving? Yeah. He's the one that I'm pretty sure he may have a Laotian, but I'm pretty sure Rick over at Rick's 2 Cents, I'm pretty sure I've heard him say that one of his is one of those Laotian machines. I think his actually might have been like a demo model or something that he got his hands on somehow. Jeremy Middleton said the Genmitsu L8 just seemed to be a good deal for the price. I'm open to others if there's any options. The L8's not a terrible machine. Now it's a budget machine for sure, and they did like the Enclosure is a little thinner than some of the other ones. It's not that the Enclosure is not going to withstand a whole lot of abuse, but as far as the laser and the operating ability of the laser itself, the one that I've got, it done a good job, still doing a good job. Klein has it over at his house and uses it, and it works. So Klein's got a lot of my machines, I think, if you think about it. and left here the other day with the Acer V35 because he thinks we finally wore out the LM3. The focus screw, because you got that little tiny screw that you set the focus with, it's getting where it won't hold. It keeps dropping the head. And so I told him, I was like, dude, I ran that machine for probably 6 months hard. And he's ran it now for almost 2 years. So I was like, maybe it's time we just let that one just let that one retire. So he's got the V35 now.
Cool.
But I told him if it tears up, there is no some more support for the V35. So big.
Well, I still. Oh wait, no, that's the. I was gonna say I've got the. So that's like the. No, I've got the Acer, the L. What is it? The L2. That's just like the Acrylic with the autofocus.
Yeah, that's the L2. Yeah, I didn't like the Acer L series. The P series and the V series were mine. The P20 and the V35 were solid machines, but that L series, I wasn't nothing but trouble over here. It done good for about a month, and then it just went sideways. That's why you can't find a video on the L2, Acer L2 on my channel nowhere anymore, because I took them down because people started having problems, and Acer just kind of like backed off into the darkness and disappeared.
Yeah, they've gone belly up. So I think I've changed the description on mine that, these are no longer available, but I'm leaving these here for anyone that has one and needs some recommendations on speeds and beats and such. But
Yeah, Corey, that's a loaded question because technically every laser on the market, just about it. I didn't know this until I watched a video the other day, but apparently, as long as you do like 80% of the assembly over here, there's different levels of assembled in the United States, made in the United States, or whatever. And so there's allowances for how much stuff can be imported into a machine before it can be called made in the USA or whatever. But there's not really that many hobby grade machines that are based in the United States or even Canada for that matter. Uh, Most of the hobby grade machines are going to be from overseas. If you want to get one that is classified as an American machine or Canadian machine, I think was it AP Laser and Thunder has a US based side too, don't they?
They're headquartered here in the U.S., but a lot of their stuff is still made over in China. I'm trying to remember. There is a company that's in the Midwest, and their name is eluding me right now. A Universal Laser, I know they were
AP
manufactured.
Didn't AP? That's the one that started out doing headstones and tombstones and stuff.
Perhaps Epilogue, of course. If you have copious amounts of money, you get a really nice machine and support there. But
if you can afford it,
they are, they're pretty expensive. But I can't. It'll come to me like probably after we.
AGT.
Rabbit laser.
The rolling machines are from, is it Korea or China? Where's Leo from? He's from China, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me, but I'm fairly confident that Leo is from China as well. I don't know where his machines are manufactured per se, but Cody says Universal Laser.
Yep, Universal is one of them. Rabbit Laser is one of these companies that they import a lot of stuff, but then they kind of go through and they rebuild them. And they're out of Ohio. So it's probably like a nicer middle ground between Epilogue and some of the others and getting something with US support. So
yeah,
that would be
Chris
something
is
to look
saying
at.
that Roley's from China. I thought it was. I know Leo, if I'm not mistaken, because I've talked with Leo, I've dealt with Leo, and when I got the Roley, I'm pretty sure everything came out of China. There's very few like these small machines like this that most of us can afford. Very few of them are made in the United States. You get up, like I said, Epilogue, Thunder is probably the most affordable one that would fall into the category of American made. AP Laser, I know they're mostly big machines and they don't really have like a desktop. Like, Thunder has the Bolt. So when you start, you're going to be getting up into the cabinet machines with like the Epilogue and AP and all these other companies. They're all like commercial based machines.
Yep.
John says for fiber lasers, is there a good way to understand the frequency variable or adjustment playing with an F1 Ultra now? The best way that I could think of for you to wrap your mind around it is frequency. It's kind of like when you're sanding something with sandpaper. Frequency is basically the grit of the sandpaper because it doesn't matter how fast you move the sandpaper. It's frequency changes the way that it interacts with that material. Frequency is basically a wave. And the higher the frequency, the smaller and quicker the waves. And then the lower the frequency, it's kind of long waves. I have found from what I can do, from what I can see with my machines, that the higher frequency stuff a lot of times does a more of a smoothing job, whereas the lower frequency tends to cause it to like dig in and remove material on most materials. Now, I'm not saying that that's science, but from my experience, that's if I'm trying to get it to just polish something up, a lot of times I'll turn the frequency up higher instead of the lower numbers because those, well, yeah. higher frequency. Like 60 frequency would be kind of like a cleaning pass, whereas the 20 frequency would be more of a dig pass. So to me, think of it kind of like grit, like the grit of a sandpaper. Because the higher the number is, just like the smoother the finish is going to be, and the smaller the number, the more it's going to dig. So that's how I think about it. That's my opinion. It may not be 100% correct, but speaking as far as the way I use my lasers, that is my findings. What are you doing over there, Steve? Are you going to demonstrate frequency for us?
No, I'm getting chilly, so I was moving the space heater closer.
But what is your take on it? I mean, does that kind of give you an idea? Is that
no? I think that's a good
right?
analogy. Consider it to sandpaper grit. That lower number is going to be more aggressive, leave more marks, whereas the higher number is going to be more of your cleaning and your polishing, smoothing.
Okay.
So I think that's a really good analogy.
Yeah, that was the best I come up with on such short notice. but yeah, it's like I said, because a lot of times if I'm doing metal, especially, I'll run those first couple of passes like real slow and at 20 frequency, and then, or like with the new MOPA over here, I can go down to like 5 on the frequency. But then once I get the digging done and I'm just smooth everything, then I crank that frequency up. With the Com Marker B4, usually it's around 60. With the GA30, I think my frequency on that machine goes up to like 20,000, which is weird. I don't know. Let's see, laser 4,000. So I can go from 1 to 4,000 kilohertz with this guy, according to the paperwork. So it's different. Each machine's a little bit different. Hang on. Let's see. Lance is saying Aeon's in Florida, but they get their parts and machines overseas. Most everything electronic these days is not made in the United States, including these. These used to be, but I'm pretty sure all these come from over there now.
Yeah. So a lot of them. So Trotec is actually Austrian based, and they actually manufacture a lot of the stuff there. So they are way different. But again, you pay for that, and they don't work with Lightburn. They have their own software as well. I've seen some cool things out of them, but I've also had some friends who have still had issues with them, and so it really comes back to that support. So yes, you're probably going to find some U.S. based companies that are a lot of them, most of them are going to China saying, "Here's our spec, do this to it." And then they'll import them. And then sometimes they'll take that and then they'll do some quality assurance testing on them. They might add some of their own parts that they've sourced elsewhere or whatnot. But yeah, you're generally getting rebranded machines that are manufactured in Asia. So getting.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying getting a company that might be based in the U.S. with their support is going to be the big benefit to you.
Yeah, according to Google, Glowforge is a American-based company based out of Seattle, but the majority of the products are from Mexico. But Glowforge says that their lenses are made in the USA, which I mean I can see that for the lenses. But yeah, so we live in a international market in which, let's face it, things that are made in the United States tend to cost a lot more. So when you start talking about economy and affordability, made USA is not something you're going to see on a lot of these really, lower level entry machines. It's just not. It's just not going to happen that often because it is more expensive to make things here. Wages are higher, and rules and restrictions and red tape, and I mean there's things that are different here. So
so I think there's a couple questions out there. Lori asked it, I think maybe a couple others, about where to get the acrylic for your laser enclosures. So if you're using a diode laser, JTech Photonics sells some rated acrylic. That's the stuff I'm using here. And this is the 12 by 24 sheet. See, you get their little sticker that just
Phil.
little sticker. So this is the size I get. I will tell you, shipping is probably going to bump it up, but they do have a 10% off right now all week, Black Friday sale. So it's $35 for that. I think for mine, it was another $15 shipping, but if I ordered 2, it was like $18 shipping. So knowing that I was working with multiple enclosures and or was going to have friends that needed them, I went ahead and ordered more to cut down on the shipping cost. But that is the stuff they tested. It's OD3 plus, and it's for 250 to 520 nanometer wavelength. So again, it's for diode lasers. This isn't going to protect you from your fiber wavelengths or your CO2. But yeah, that's it's good stuff. I've put it on multiple equipment now, and well, I guess I don't know. My eyes haven't been blasted by laser light. We'll just put it that way.
So. Hey, I've got 2 enclosures. This one has 1 sheet of that. This one has 2 sheets of it, and I've got that extra sheet over there that was from my portable enclosure that I had. And I've spent a lot of money with JTech in the past couple of years. Yeah, but it's worth it because you don't have to worry about it.
Yep. So we've both been using that on our enclosures, and like I said, this will be going on this one shortly. I just need to finish the corners, make them square, or round off the acrylic because of the 1/4-inch downtown Jenny did a nice job cutting, but it can't make square corners. So Cody, if you could figure that out for me. I know I can do dog bones, but yeah, it'll get in there probably tomorrow, and we'll hopefully get this thing fired up soon. So anyway, we are just past 2 hours. This is our first show in December. And coming up in 3 weeks on the 22nd, that's the last show before Christmas. We are planning on doing our big Christmas shindig. Clack's going to get dressed up as an elf, and we're going to be giving away all sorts of stuff that we're trying to work with. And as we get them in, we're going to try to share some of that with you. So the first one that I'm going to share with you tonight is our friends at LaserPecker have they're ponying up a couple of nice prizes for us to give away. So now, unfortunately, it's not going to be the LP5 that both Clack and I have, but they are going to be providing.
Couldn't quite swing that one.
It does sound like they're going to be providing us an LP2 and an LP4, as well as some other accessories. So we're really excited to have them on board. Start making your plans. That's just one of the things that we're going to have in that. We're going to, and I'd asked, they did say they can ship globally. Now you may have some import things depending on your location and such, but we are going to be able to have we are going to have some giveaways. That's just the first one. We're working with some other people. We're going to be trying to spread it out between lasers and some of our CNC friends and the 3D printing stuff. And plus, like we did last year,
Cody said he was gonna bounce in there with us on this one.
So Cody was another one of the supporters as well. We're gonna have some fun with this. We're hopefully gonna be able to give away a number of things. We'll probably again have some Amazon gift cards and such as well for people. So looking forward to that. Again, it's gonna be on the live, and you're gonna have to be present because that's the easiest way for us to make sure that we get connected with people and that we want to try to have it with our core supporters here. So
yep. Oh, thank you, Cody, appreciate it. He said $10 for the elf costume. I don't know. We're definitely gonna, like I said, I've got a couple of what me and Steve have basically turned into doing is when these companies contact us now and they're like, hey, we want to send you this. We've started trying to negotiate to where not only do we, do the review for them or whatever, but they'll also contribute to the Christmas giveaway or what have you. And so that's where we're at. I've got one company that makes materials that has expressed interest, and I've got one laser company that's wanting me to do a machine that I don't really want to do, but if they'll give a couple of giveaways, then I could pay them through it. So I'm still negotiating that. I haven't heard from them. They went dark this weekend because usually the emails come in during the week. We don't get many of them on the weekends. But yeah, it's going to be big. There's going to be lots of stuff to be given away. So if you want to win some stuff, be sure to click on the event, put it on your calendar, set yourself a reminder, make yourself a countdown, something so that you can be sure to be there, because I plan to give away several of the Amazon gift cards that night. So, I mean, we gave away, what was it? $200, which I think we had talked about doing it. And then we had some of our other guys, Greg from over STL, and who else was it? Somebody else. Was it
Eric? I think Eric dropped some.
Eric. Yeah, it was Eric over at Valley Forged.
Yeah.
Had gave $100 to the stream that night. So we went ahead and gave $200 gift certificates to Amazon away at the end of that live after we had did the laser giveaway that we had advertised. So just because we don't advertise stuff don't mean we're not going to be giving away stuff away every now and then. And hopefully as we grow into 2025, we're going to try to leverage more of what we can get from companies to give back to you guys, because it does, because me and Steve, and I know this, poor us or whatever, but sometimes it does get a little boring just reviewing machines, and we would rather review machines and be able to give one to somebody. It just makes it better.
Yeah.
So I know it sounds strange. Like my buddies, are like, so you just get these free machines, but you're getting tired of it. I'm like, I would love for somebody else to be able to get them. And this is a way of doing it,
Yeah. It's, there's a lot of manufacturers out there, and then there's a lot of like, kind of the off brand that'll work with a manufacturer on overstock or something. But they've got
resellers.
Resellers or something. It's kind of the same thing, and we're like, hey, now, but when we can work it into something that we can give back to the community, that's where we might take on an extra one that's kind of a been there, done that. But if they can help support the community, we try to do it that way. So, we try to find that balance. And two, I mean, it's things like that prevent me from getting this done sometimes if because you want to make sure you do things in a timely manner, but also trying to do it in an appropriate. So, Great Lakes would love to have you as part of it. So if you want to reach out to myself or Clack, either through Facebook or through the contact us, there's emails for us. Yeah, just reach out to us. Let us know what you're thinking. We'd love to get you in there and give you a little bit of
shout outs
and as much of advertising in that as we can.
Yeah, I was just saying we may even come up with like in our introduction, we may add a few rolling logos or something for that particular night. We usually do at least like a ticker, like when we had Adam Stack, they gave that machine for the last one. So we'll try to give you a shout out, give you a little exposure. Our little live's it's not the biggest live around, but it's, in our genre, it's not the littlest one either. So we're happy about it. We're proud of you guys and the community that we formed as far as like with the Facebook group. I hadn't looked at it today, but I know it grows because I'm always approving people to come into it. And we are currently at 2,200 members of the laser engraving community. And don't forget our map, guys. We've got the map. There's links to it in the laser engraving community page. If you haven't joined it already, it should also be in the description of the lives on mine and Steve's channel. But it's basically just a big map where we can put push pins, because when we do have trips coming up, like I know me and Steve are both planning on being in Atlanta for Workbench Con. So, when we get there, we can actually look at the map and say, hey, there's 20 guys that live right here in Atlanta that, might want to go like hang out at Buffalo Wild Wings for a little while or something. Those are potentially things that we might do. And like Steve said, he's coming over to Nevada possibly in January. So, there we go with another one. So it's something that we're going to use, and I'm going to use a little more than Steve is, here shortly. If I'm in a town or if I'm traveling through an area, then I would, I could coordinate where to kind of stop and hang out and maybe visit with folks. But yeah. And I see y'all cracking on me down here. Yeah. They talking about clack on a shelf and then got something about some surgeries and got to have a walking stick. And man, they are on me.
Those are all the accessories. Great Lakes, send me an email. We'd be happy to connect with you on that. And I know in the Minnesota laser community, I'm part of a small group of people there. I know they talk about you guys as well. So happy to support places that are supporting the maker community and the laser community too. So
golly, they all want to get the file from you now for a clack on the shelf. He will probably build that this week. I wouldn't be surprised.
Mark, yeah. I mean, I know I've been trying to do some topics like that. I've done some recently around Tinkercad because it's not just lasers in the shops. I mean, we do 3D printing, and Clack would like to say I never do CNC work anymore, but we do that as well. So I do try to mix those in. I try to make sure that it's not just product, but it's like here's a tutorial, here's a project, here's a product, and bounce those around. And hopefully, like I say, in 304 days, Clack will have more time to do some of those things. I'm trying to balance my schedule as well to get a little more regularity and focus time, but between full-time job and family still home and things like that, it just some weeks kind of get away from me. And then if you've made some commitments to manufacturers, that's why I've been trying to scale back and not say yes to anything unless I feel is going to be of a benefit. But also, I know it's not always appealing to jump into another review that you've got your machine, you don't want to watch it, but I try to, in my review videos, talk about, the whys and the whats of my tests, or if I'm doing a certain project with it, like try to walk through some of that as well. So I try to give the people who might not be shopping, but just kind of want to see a few insights as well. I really don't like being salesy. I'm bad at being salesy.
Oh yeah. I'm not a good salesperson either.
I try to just give good information and help people, whether they're looking for that machine or not. But yeah, definitely something I'm trying to include a little bit more on.
Well, somebody brought up, like I said, Mark's talking about, I will say this, and I don't know what retirement is going to look like exactly yet. I do know that I should be getting back about 40 hours a week of my time that I can spend in the shop. One of the things that I've talked to Steve about and I've talked to my wife about is I do want to get to where, let's say you're new to it and you want to learn the laser, and you kind of you don't want to like necessarily have like a one-on-one tutoring session or whatever. I would like to get it to where like one day during the week, maybe have an event to where I could have like an hour live for laser design or CNC or something like that, and mix those in a little more frequently, which is a lot of what I do is geared that way, but I do a lot of stuff with the machines as well. Like I said, a lot of project stuff. Now, if you watch my project videos, a lot of times you'll learn things because I try to point out the tools that I'm using and the reason why I'm doing things the way I'm doing it. So I try to keep even those to where they're, informative in a way. But as I retire, I do plan on doing more like, okay, today's a CNC project design and today's a laser project design, or stuff like that. That's because I'm going to have to come up with content ideas to be able to fill my schedule. So what I had looked at was doing like have those lives and have people be able to send me messages and say, hey, what in the world? Have people say, hey, can you show me this in the next live? And maybe have like you guys basically that's going to be watching it decide what the topic is that day by way of a vote or poll or whatever. So that's kind of what I'm looking at doing after retirement. So I think it'll work out, and we'll probably have a few live videos as retirement gets closer to try to lay down the groundwork for that, because I do want input from you guys. Whether you just want to be entertained, taught, watch me screw up, burn up stuff, tear up stuff, whatever. That way, that way we can do it together. So it looks like Steve's enclosure is going to have to be purple and orange.
It'd be purple and gold or purple and yellow, not orange. Although I did like the idea. Maybe we'll paint the bottom orange, the base.
The bottom that you can't see?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's where the Clack Shack sticker can go.
Yeah. See, but yeah. Well, and Norbert, part of my thing too is I don't, and I'm not trying to sound mean, and I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody or anything, but I don't consider myself to be that much better than most of you guys at any of this stuff, other than the fact that, apparently I know how to work a camera. That's it. I mean, a lot of you guys know way more about CNC and lasering than I do. So I'm really, I guess it kind of just makes me wonder, okay, what can and I do know my way around lasers. Don't get me wrong. I'm learning CNC, but I just don't know that I'd be one of those. I don't know that I'm the best teacher, but I do try to teach in my videos. So I guess there's that.
That's just not cool.
Make the laser not work in February. What?
As a response to this one.
Oh. Oh, yeah. I don't know about all that. I'm gonna have to throw some fishing and hunting in there. But we'll come up with a schedule.
Not cool. Yeah. Hey, we got rid of Cousins, so hopefully we can get past one playoff.
I have no idea what y'all are talking about. That's an inside joke or something up there. Yeah, there's a lot. Maybe you should start a poll on your channel. What color should the enclosure be? And whatever colors win the poll is the colors that you have to paint it.
I mean, I'm going to have some sort of like cost for entry then.
No, I think you should just start a poll and let everybody put what colors they think it should be. And then your followers can vote, and then I can like con people to come over and vote, and we can see. I mean, it's just, that is the democratic way. Is we could get people to vote on what color you need to paint your enclosure, and then whatever color they decide, that's the color you have to paint it.
I don't know. That's no. I don't see any benefit to this.
Oh my goodness. All right, then. I tried.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like, that would be fun, because then it would be like a push to get people to come vote. Because I would send as many people over as I could to vote orange.
Yeah. Like I say, I'll set it up with like $5 per vote, and after I collect my $20, I'll pick a color.
Norbert said he'd pay $1 to suggest a color.
Well, it's going to cost me more than $1 to paint the thing.
Can you get it stripped? Can you get stripe paint at Menards? All right. Well, I guess that's it. We've went about 20 minutes over. So
yeah.
Oh, I need to go get some sleep. I didn't get much sleep last night. I am tired.
So this is actually a legit question. You do want to seal it, because otherwise that wood, natural fibers, is going to soak up anything and everything. So if you notice with your laser, if you've got like a honeycomb, after a while you open up the enclosure and you just get that smell of burnt everything. It's that residue that soaks into the panel, and you clean it, and all of a sudden it's less. Well, you want to seal the wood so that it's not absorbing that odor and such. So the other thing is, I'll probably pick a color that is not, at least for the inside, that isn't dark, but also not like reflecting. And that's one good thing that Clack did, was the orange on the inside. It helps kind of cut down on the reflectiveness of the blue light. So there is that. But yeah, the outside, that's more just keeping it, it'll keep it cleaner, easier to wipe down a painted surface than natural wood. So I could just stain it. I could just, put some poly on it or something, but we'll find some paint and get it done. But I might just grab the random leftover paint I have here and get it done.
I was fixing to say you could just what do those guys call it, where it's just abstract art? You just like take paint and just throw it all in there, and like a bomb went off.
Well, I have threatened just to use a paint bomb on some things, so
make sure you cover up the glass. That would be the costly mistake.
Yep.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, you could paint it up like a Cybertruck on the inside. You could just like line the whole thing with aluminum. That would be great for cameras.
That'd be horrible.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for tonight. Like I said, we'll see you guys again Sunday. I will be working on the video for those ornaments that I've been working on tonight, where I'm doing the two pieces of wood together. And we'll see. Go with your guys' colors, black and white. Yeah, I painted one of mine black and white, but I'm be honest with you, I ain't real crazy about the way it looks. It needs something. But but yeah, next week will be our second live of the week, and the 23rd, I think, is the one we're going to be doing all the giveaways on. So y'all stay tuned and just keep coming to join us. Tell everybody go tell everybody come check out the live. I know a lot of you guys are saying how great we are and fun and all that, and we appreciate your support. So go tell people
definitely
to come watch the show and help us grow the community. Like I said, 2,200 strong right now, and we can keep it going. So,
yep,
that's about all I got.
But yeah, I'll be working on the Enclosure, a little bit more on the Reno Pro. I have a little bit of a backlog of some equipment that I'm trying to get through, but also trying to, like I said, I've got another Tinkercad video that I got to edit. We'll get out, try to throw out some other, and yeah, maybe there's some Christmas themed projects coming out as well. Got to see if they're going to work first. But yeah. We'll try to keep
I think this is going to be
coming.
my last Christmas one for a while.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where people are already doing their projects, and it's that whole retail thing. You got to kind of get ahead of the curve. So, but appreciate everybody hopping in. Appreciate everybody that jumped in. I kind of did a pop-up live. What was it? Friday afternoon on the Reno. I'll try to do a few more of those as well, as I'm working on some things. That was kind of fun, but appreciate everybody's support. And hit those like buttons, follow us on the Facebook and such. We throw some behind the scenes stuff out there as well. And we'll keep it coming, but yeah, we'll see everybody next Sunday, if not earlier.
Be safe, be good, and enjoy your week.